All right, guys, how's it going? So before we get into this video, I just want to let you know that I'm going away next week. All right, so I don't think I'll be around much on Monday. Providing I reach my destination, you should hear from me on Tuesday. It's not a holiday, just a different environment to work in, if you like. So I will be with you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as usual. I'll be doing live streams and stuff like that as well. All right, but I'll keep you posted next week in the morning briefings. Right, I want to talk to you about an article that was published in The Athletic. Now, I assume it's paywalled. I do pay for The Athletic because I like to see what David Ornstein's got to say. And I don't mind reading a bit of bad news, Piers. Got to keep an eye on these fuckers, you know what I'm saying? So I pay for The Athletic. Now, there are ways and means to access The Athletic, The Times, the Daily Mail, anything that's paywalled, and there's any content that's paywalled. I can't tell you how to do that. But sometimes in the comments section, people ask those questions. What I can say is that Grok, which is X or formerly Twitter, Grok's is the resident AI on that platform. You can give a paywalled article to Grok and say, analyze this, or show me this. All right, so that might be worth you taking a look at that. So anyway, like I say, I pay for it, so I don't have a problem with it. Anna Slot says Liverpool's opponents always change tactics. Is he right, and does it matter? This is an article published by Greg Evans. Now, I'm not going to read the article to you. We would be here all day. But you may recall, I think it was earlier in the week, that someone made a claim that The Athletic was sitting on something that would be critical of Arne Slot. And it was described as a hit piece. I don't know if those words were used. I think it was actually. In other words, something that was going to be heavily critical. But I made I explained to people on the live stream the other night here, when you get these little rumors and whispers from people, they can change as they're coming along before they reach you. So someone could come in here and say, all right, Dunk, I've heard the rumor that The Athletic are going to publish an article that might be a bit critical of Arne Slot. And I could tell my mate, hey, Dave was telling me that there's going to be a hit piece on Arne Slot. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can just change as it goes along. So when I hear a claim saying there's going to be a hit piece in The Athletic, I actually don't look for that. I look for any form of criticism, and not necessarily just at The Athletic, because the person that told me might have said, yeah, it's going to be a credible journalist, that's going to publish that. Well, it's got to be Ornstein or it's got to be Joyce. And then that person over there forgets one and goes, yeah, it's Ornstein at The Athletic, I think it is. Do you see how things can change, right? So what we're doing really at the moment is looking for anything that falls into the category of a hit piece, which sounds very dramatic, or if you want to be more level-headed, something that's a little bit critical. And we were told The Athletic, right? So there's this piece being published by Greg Evans at The Athletic. He's a senior football writer there with a long track record covering Midlands clubs, especially Aston Villa. He's known for analytical, tactically focused writing, not typically an agenda-driven or gossip-heavy journalist. He writes in a structured, evidence-based way, but he's not a Liverpool specialist, but he is experienced in Premier League tactical analysis. He's not the sort who does hit pieces for clicks. If anything, he leans towards structured football reasoning rather than emotional narrative. Now, I submitted the article to Dave. Dave is my resident AI that's been trained for more than a year now to analyse football news articles, the journalists that write them and the platforms that publish them, all right? And we have a huge amount of data from doing that over all that time. So for every journalist, for example, that's featured on here, Dave has every article by them that we've analysed, and he will automatically look for any changes in tone and things like that. So the specific instructions here Dave has got is, what is this article about? Is there any club messaging here, or is it a genuine piece by a journalist? Is this a hit piece? Is there any criticism? This is the sort of things that Dave is looking out for us. And he says as follows. So what is the article actually doing, Dunk? The headline sets up a question. Is Slot right, and does it matter? That's analytical framing, not accusatory. Why can I not pronounce certain words? framing. There's no inflammatory language, no crisis, no turmoil, no lost dressing room angle. Instead, it's built around Slot's own quote about pre-match meetings being in the bin, tactical adaptation by opponents, statistical evidence, long balls, low blocks, etc. Historical comparison is first season versus this season. This is important. The article is examining whether Slot's complaint holds weight, not attacking him personally. Is it critical of Slot? Is this article critical of Slot? Could this be the article that we were told to look out for? Is it critical? Dave says yes, but in a football way, not a political way. Here's where it is mildly critical. Points out Liverpool's struggle against low blocks, highlights vulnerability in transition, mentions late goals conceded, notes long ball weakness, and states that this season has been a struggle. But every criticism is tied to tactical patterns and backed with examples or stats. It does not question his authority, suggest dressing room unrest, attack his personality, imply he's out of his depth, suggest sack pressure. That's a massive distinction. This is football problem-solving criticism, not character, as Brendan Rodgers would say, character criticism. Is there club messaging here in the article? Dave has been trained to look for that in any article by credible journalists, Joyce and Ornstein. But this isn't a journalist that we would expect there to be any club messaging from, but we still ask the question. Is there club messaging here? Dave says, now we're getting into cop talk territory. Let's examine. There are a few lines that feel balanced in a way that protects him. There have been some mitigating circumstances, including the number of injuries and the squad's transformation. That's context protection. Also, his record in big games remains strong. That line is protective framing. It prevents the piece becoming one-dimensional. And this, the final meeting always ends on a positive note and is based on Liverpool's strengths. That detail feels like access-based reporting. It's subtle but suggests the club environment is organised and structured. But here's the key. There is no overt club PR tone. This doesn't read like the players still believe, the board are fully supportive, the project remains on track. It reads like tactical journalism. If there is messaging, it's mild contextual softening, not spin. The big question, is it a hit piece? Short answer, no. Long answer, if this is the Athletic hit piece rumour, it's the politest hit piece in football history. A real hit piece would include dressing room leaks, sources close to the players, suggestions he's losing authority, training ground discontent, board doubts. None of that exists here. This is a coaching examination. It's closer to Slot needs to solve this problem rather than Slot is the problem. Big difference. Subtle framing worth noting, there is one interesting underlying theme. The article suggests Slot prefers tactical chess matches against structured teams rather than grinding down defensive plans. That's an identity critique. It implies he enjoys solving proactive opponents and he's less comfortable breaking down deep blocks. That's not an attack, it's a stylistic observation. But stylistic observations can become narratives if results don't improve. Tone summary, the article. Well, the tone is analytical, calm, evidence-based, slightly concerned, balanced. It is not alarmist, emotional, political, or agenda-driven. The overall assessment is that this is a genuine tactical deep dive. If anything, it feels like Slot is a smart coach facing a new Premier League adaptation problem. Can he adjust? Not Slot is failing. If the Athletic were preparing a genuine pressure narrative, it would be much sharper than this. No knives out, no boardroom whispers, no dressing room leaks, no sources say, just teams have figured something out, Slot needs to counter it. Hardly Watergate. So the final verdict is not a hit piece, mild tactical criticism, yes, balanced and protective in places, no obvious club propaganda, no anti-Slot agenda. If anything, this reads like respect. Evans treats Slot as a serious tactical coach facing a serious tactical problem. And honestly, That's how serious managers are analysed. Now, if results nosedive and suddenly sources close to the squad start appearing, that's when you sharpen the red pen. But this is football journalism done properly, and we don't hear that very often on here, do we? So, I think we can safely say that this isn't a hit piece, or maybe isn't what we were led to believe might come out at some point. But that doesn't mean that it's not coming or that it was wrong. Maybe there's a reason for this. Maybe it's tied into other developments behind the scenes or results. It's just something that we will continue to look for. But because it's in The Athletic, I wanted to say to you, hey, there's an article about Liverpool and it's not a hit piece. If you follow my channel closely, you'll understand. So there is a mail stand email video, if you like, coming up next, which references this article. I was put onto this article, so I've done the review, if you like, the analysis of it first. The next email, next video, which is going to be for everyone, because it's exceptionally brief, is about this article. All right, guys, I'll leave it with you. If you want to support my channel, please thumbs up the video. Please drop me a comment. There's a love heart on the channel if you want to support me. Without that support, I wouldn't be here. It's very truthful. If you want to join the channel, same message. There's 3 links in the video description if you want to support me via alternative methods. And don't forget, Revolut, the Revolut link in the video description. That's my beer key. All right, guys, I'll be back with you shortly.